Electro Dragons are by far one of the easiest troops that you can use right now. So let's give you the most consistent attack strategy that uses Electro Dragons for more 3 stars. But first, let's start with hero equipment. The Barbarian King usually will prefer the Vamp Stash and Spiky Ball for any air spam attack, but you can also run the Giant Gauntlet and Rage Vial combo if you want to use something pretty consistent. For your Archer Queen, I recommend running the Healer Puppets and Giant Arrow since this is also really good in air spam, but you can also run the Healer Puppets and Frozen Arrow if you're using her right behind the Barbarian King, which you typically are doing, which is going to really allow you to keep her moving and providing support to your king. Now with the Warden, it's quite simple. I'm going to recommend the Healing Tome and Eternal Tome as it's really consistent for Electro Dragons, and for the Royal Champion, the Hog, Puppet, and Seeking Shield combo is a really good set to balance her DPS and healing. Overall, all heroes can actually run the OG equipment, which is just really how strong this army actually is when you don't even need the equipment that I recommended and you could just use the original abilities. Speaking of which, this is the baseline army composition that I would recommend. It's a super strong and super consistent army where you have a lot of flexibility with this, where you can take out the balloons for the super barbarians, or you can take out the Ice Hound for a Lava Hound if you don't want to boost any super troops. For the most part, it is a really flexible army, so let's move on to the breakdown. Now, a strategy like this is pretty easy to understand with each step. First things first, we're going to be using 2 lightning spells on a sweeper, as this is going to be used to prevent the Electro Dragons and Blimp from being pushed away by the sweeper pointed in the direction of our E-Drags and Blimp. This then allows you to start the funnel with 1 to 2 E-Drags to be sure that you can enter into the base with the rest of your Electro Dragons as you enter in. Now with a funnel set though, use an Ice Hound followed by running your Electro Dragons, Balloons, and Warden into the base. And of course, after a few seconds, you should drop in your Blimp as well to fly in. Now, if you don't want to use an Ice Hound in this situation, you've always got the Lava Hound to provide tanking for your E-Drags early on. Be sure to use an early Rage and Grand Warn ability while your Blimp and E-Drags are moving into the base. With these 2 things, your E-Drags will be able to bomb out most of the inside of the base while they're working in, while your Blimp can get closer to the Town Hall. Now with this said Blimp, you're going to use an invisibility spell either after the Blimp is forced open or when you pop the Blimp, by then using a clone spell, rage spell, and then timing your invisibility spells every 4 seconds. You don't need every invisibility spell, as you can save some for your heroes or even swag them. Now this is going to clear a ton off of the base. Nearly 50% is going to be really gotten from both your Electro Dragon portion and your Blimp, which is going to make everything super easy when you have the Queen, the King, and the Royal Champion. Now with your Barbarian King and Archer Queen moving down the base together to get some great value, their actual abilities don't necessarily matter all too much. You can use the Giant Arrow to snipe off low HP defenses, or even the Barbarian King with his Spiky Ball to clear through regular buildings and even hit some defenses, or even using the Earthquake Boots to open the walls for your King and Queen to move deeper in. You also have druids that you can use to keep them healed up. But overall, not all of that is super important, since your heroes can very easily move through the entire backside of the base, which is why I recommend taking the Royal Champion, as she is really important in this, where using her on the back end is very good. Additionally, thanks to her ability to go invisible, she can clear multiple defenses and clear through dangerous situations, like getting through the Barbarian King or even a single target Inferno. And even having 1 to 2 druids can actually keep her alive. Now there are some common mistakes that you could make with an army like this, such as not funneling. Having all of your E-Drags on the outside the base tends to be a pretty bad thing, especially if there's not a lot of chain and you'll get less value. So taking out the balloons and bringing in super barbarians and or baby dragons, you can help create a part of a funnel for your E-Drags, so that way they can go into the base and gut the core. Additionally, if you're not paying any attention to your Blimp, you could land on top of the Town Hall, but there is a way to secure the Town Hall in this position. Using an invisibility on top of the Town Hall and keeping the Town Hall invisible during the duration of your cloned Blimp. This is going to allow you to clear everything around it. Once the invisibility around the Town Hall expires, this is going to let your super wizards and super minions turn back and destroy the Town Hall, clearing you from a possible loss of value from your Blimp. So let's now give you a proper example of how this all works all at once, but this time with the default equipment. Now for starters, we're going to funnel, this time using some of the balloons since there is a defense here. We're going to use an Electro Dragon as well since it can get some good chain, and this is then going to allow us to use an Ice Hound, followed by the rest of our Electro Dragons, the Grand Warden, and the Battle Blimp. We're going to use an early Rage to do a lot of damage via the chains, alongside this using 2 lightning spells for the sweeper. Just before the Blimp leaves the Warden's aura, use the Eternal Tome in order to make sure that that Blimp flies all the way over. You don't have to worry about your E-Drags here. Use an invisibility for your Blimp, followed by using a clone and a rage spell in order to then start timing your invisibility spells every 4 seconds. And just watch the super minions and super wizards get a ton of value while they're working around that entire invisibility. This then realistically allows you to start in your heroes. Since the Electro Dragons have already done their job, and your super minion and super wizard Blimp were able to clear the Town Hall and anything around it really, this then really leaves you with this section where you have druids to provide support for your attack. If you notice, we are using the OG equipment. So the Warden has his life gem, but the King also has his default set. This strategy has worked before with the OG equipment, and this is why I just can't recommend it enough. It doesn't need necessarily the best equipment to work, and necessarily it doesn't always need max level equipment to work. This is why this strategy is often my favorite Electro Dragon army, as you're able to very easily work yourself around without having to really worry. Having the druids to provide support is always incredibly helpful. If you have something like an extra invisibility spell, it can really help your entire attack as a whole, since you can really protect certain troops, which definitely makes it a lot easier. Or of course you can just swag it. For the most part though, you will be able to very easily and simply get through, even with OG equipment, to absolutely smash through any base. As long as you have all your heroes up, you'll more than likely get a 3-star with something like this. This Electro Dragon army is one of my personal favorites and is really just super consistent. And this is why I still recommend this strategy to those of you who love to use E-Drags. However, if you want to try out something a bit newer, the Fireball and Mass Druid combo is insanely good and super strong, so I recommend checking out this video right here.